Thank you so much, Wendy, for being here. I am excited, really excited to be talking with you. But you want to first take like 30 seconds to tell us a little bit about yourself and exactly what you do.
Thank you. So my name is Wendy Barlin, and I came to the United States in 1997 with nothing but a bag of dirty clothes. And I got my certified public accountant's license. And for the last 25 years, I've worked at different accounting firms across the country and started my own business about 10 years ago so that I could truly help small business owners with the challenges that we face every day in managing our businesses and managing our money.
So now you do your own business, like
Correct. So now I run my own business, which is all advice based and not hourly billing, so that I can actually listen to people and not charge them by the time, but charge them by the results that
I
we're
love
able to
that. I
get
love that so
together.
much. Yeah, like just that shows how much you care about people and your customers. What was like the jump like for you of leaving so-called a secure job, even though that's not really
Right.
secure, but like leaving a job to starting your own business?
Well, I think there was always a little piece of me that said, I can do this. I can do this. And then when the towers fell in New York, that was the moment where I said to myself, wow, life is short. If I'm going to do this, I need to do it now. And I won't say that my heart wasn't pounding when I walked into my boss's office to let him know I was quitting. And he said to me, I'll give you another $10,000 if you stay. And I was like, okay, yes, it's still a no, but thank you. And it was scary. And in the beginning, I took any business that came my way just because I had to pay the bills and keep a roof over my head. It's not like I have a family to support me. It was just me. And I had to pay the bills. And then after a while, I figured out, wait, not all clients are created equal. Some are not so fun to work with. And so over time, I kind of figured out who a good client would be and raised my rates to a point that I could work with fewer people who paid me more. But when people ask me when is a good time to leave, to quit that job, I really don't think there's a good time. It's like getting married or buying a house, right? There's no perfect time. You do it when your gut says now. Whatever comes, I'm going to do it now. And then you just go with it.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I want to go back to the part about what you said about the customers and not all customers are created equal. And like such agreement with you on that, especially like charging more and giving better service.
Yeah.
For you specifically, what is that so-called customer that works really well with you? You can help them.
Right. So when people come to me and they say, Wendy, I don't want to pay any taxes, like that's not a good customer for me because let's be honest, that's not real, right? You can't pay no taxes. We all have to pay some taxes. But now that I've learned to listen to the words that people use, and I'm looking for someone who wants to learn, I'm looking for someone who's open to discussions and looking for solutions rather than someone who's closed minded, dogmatic, and wants things only their way. So it's really about listening and knowing the ticklers and definitely trust your gut. When you're talking to someone and you get this feeling like, I don't know if I want to be friends with this person, not that I want to be my client's friends, but if there's something in their personality that hurts my stomach, I've learned to say no, no matter how much the dollars are, because I've cried myself to sleep so many nights over 25 years over those clients that I said yes to, even though my gut was like, Wendy, this is going to be trouble.
Yeah, and not only like you said, so many sleepless nights and like your mental health and emotionally, like you
Oh,
can't serve other clients better because of that. But also you like learn to almost not trust yourself in other
right.
situations.
Right. And get burnt out. So I work with a lot of business owners who say, Wendy, I'm just done. I want to go take a job. I can't do this anymore. And the reason we get to that point, me included, is because we've taken on clients that we don't serve well and they don't serve us well. And it leads to this place of just being drained and burnt out, and you just want to give up. And to that, I actually did give up about 14 years ago. I had started a business and I just got burnt out and tired. I had all these clients who were so demanding, and somebody came along and offered me a great job. And I said, I'll take it. I'll get paid every 2 weeks. I'll have health benefits. I'm out. But you know what? After 2 weeks at that job, just 2 weeks, I knew I'd made a mistake. And that's the story I tell my clients now. No matter how frustrated and how burnt out you are, do not give up, because that was a long road back for me. I stayed at that job for a year because I wasn't a quitter. I wanted to see it out, but that was a very hard year for me to realize that I thought I was walking into a safe, secure, yet challenging environment. But actually what I'd done was set myself back several years because I thought I was looking for an easy out. There's no easy out.
Yeah, there's no easy out. So what, after that year, what did you have to change on your inside and like practically in order for you to set up the business that you now have that you're actually really happy with?
Yes. After that, I kind of spent a lot of that year thinking, how could I do things differently? How's the next time going to be different so this doesn't happen to me again? And what I decided to do was no more hourly billing, no more charging people by the hour. That way we're not fighting over money. We agree upfront what the fees are going to be and what the work is going to be. And then we don't have to argue about money again. This arguing over every 15 minutes. Well, were you on the phone? You sent me an email. No, you sent me two. Like that just wore me down. So I decided no more hourly billing. And I decided that my clients were only going to be people based within a certain geographic area, in a certain industry, with a certain kind of business. And that really, I took that year to kind of decide what worked and what didn't, and how can I do things differently. And not that it's always
like
easy.
specific criteria? So in case someone's listening and they want to know if they're a good fit.
Yes, it makes it easier, right? So for me, working with a business with two owners is very hard because I've got two different people and no one can decide and everything's a vote. Whereas when I'm working with a business with one owner, we can make strategic decisions and implement right away. So that was one of my rules, because based on dealing with partners in the past, it was never good. Somebody always felt hurt or not heard, or it just didn't work. So for me, working with a single owner made sense. I also wanted to work with someone whose life I could relate to. So I chose not to work with people who were close to retirement age, because I don't really know how that feels. I have two kids. I'm trying to get them through private school. I'm saving for college. I've got a big mortgage. This is my life. And so most of my clients are like me because I know how they feel. I know how to navigate it, and I can truly help them. And we work together. So most of my clients tend to be between 30 and 50 with similar lifestyle choices, right? And so that has definitely helped me keep my client base tight and know that I truly can help these people. So when I tell you I can work with you and I can help you, I know I can.
Yeah.
And that's taken so much stress away.
Yeah, it's on both ends. It's for you, like you've helped tons of people before in their situation, so you're like 100% confident that you could help them, but also for them, they know that you've helped tons of people. So like you know, like how they always say like in marketing and stuff that like people always ask like, how do you know you could help me? But like these are the exact criteria and you fit them. So like I know I could.
It's like when you go to a doctor, you don't want to say, wait, is this your first day? Is this the first like freckle you've seen? Because that makes me a little nervous, right? I want to go to someone that does this every day and knows how I feel. And I think that really helps with the confidence and building that relationship with the client where you can be totally open and honest, because nothing they say is going to hurt my feelings. It's certainly not going to be the first time I've ever heard it, I'm pretty sure. And so that helps build that relationship, because no matter what field you're in, you can't work with people unless you have a really open and honest communication.
Yeah, I complete agreement on that. Now, were you always good at math?
So I'm not great at math. I'm good at logic. And people laugh at me. We go out to dinner and everyone hands me the bill. And like, Wendy, work out the tip. You're the accountant. And I go, oh my gosh, I'm horrible at math, but I'm really good at logic patterns. and doing jigsaw puzzles. And so what I tell people is that part of being an accountant and a tax advisor is looking for how the pieces fit, looking how pieces fit together. What are the missing pieces? So I was always really good at geometry and finding the angles. And so if you're someone who's really good at jigsaw puzzles, we can work together. And that's actually how I've hired my team in the past, is instead of looking at their resumes and going, oh, you have a degree from Harvard, I really don't care. What I do is I give them a jigsaw puzzle and I say, I want to watch you do this. It's not about how quickly you do it, and it's not about completing it. It's about the logic. How do you do it? And it's so fascinating because some people separate the colors. Some people start with an area. Some people do the outside first. So it's just been fascinating to watch that. And I think being good with numbers for me is more about the logic and the puzzle problem solving than it is about math.
Yeah, there's like two things that comes to mind when you say that. First of all, you make accounting sound way more fun when it's about like doing a jigsaw puzzle over doing math.
Right?
First of all, but second of all, I love how you give them something to do, because as a brain engineer and people who helps people with their brains and like think and I'm more and how their brain is helps them improve how their brain is thinking, then what I do is the same thing. I don't give them specific jigsaw puzzles, but I do give them brain exercises. And the same way, just like you said, the same way that they are approaching the task is the way they are approaching life, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly.
So for years, I would hire people with fabulous resumes, and then I'd say to them, where's your to-do list? Oh, I don't use one. What do you don't have a I need to see what's on your to-do list, and I need you to check off the things as you do them. And they'd look at me and go, that sounds horrible. And I'd fire them because we just didn't get along. When I started using the puzzle, all of a sudden, the people I chose used to-do lists. And it wasn't so hard for me to train them because they think the same way I do. They have the same logic pattern. They need a to-do list. And so that's exactly right, to learn to cater to those people. And it's the same with my clients. So I love artsy people. I love to help artsy people, but sometimes it's very hard for me to work with them because their conversation goes in 10 directions. And I'm trying to focus on cash and profits and taxes, and they keep going in 10 directions. So there are accountants who would be very well suited to work with those people. I might not be one of them. And that's where it's really important to know, because I don't want to promise someone who's a creative mind that I can help them when all we're going to do is struggle. We're going to struggle because our brains work in different ways. And I think that's really important to know about ourselves and those that we can help.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Yeah, like knowing your brain. I'm a very big believer in self-awareness and like knowing your brain and right and who you want to work with. I am going to add, though, as someone just coming from the brain perspective, is that a lot of what you're saying and how like their brain works depends on their 28 thinking skills or 28 cognitive functions. So you work best with people who have the similar, stronger, weaker ones, like you, like all of us. That's the way we work. Now, on a client's end or as a learner's end, if you improve more of them, you will have more people that you will be able to work with.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
That is so, in my next life, that's what I'm going to study, because I think it is so interesting how the brain works. Fascinating.
Awesome. Okay, now let's get into debt. How do you see, first of all, like most business owners and entrepreneurs, like how does debt play in their life and how does it affect them?
So I feel there's this horrible shame relating to debt, and people don't like talk about it. They almost bury their heads or they whisper when they talk about debt. But, I came to this country with nothing. And if it wasn't for furniture stores allowing me to buy furniture and pay it off over a year or 2 years or 3 years, I wouldn't have even had a bed to sleep in. And so
that's a really big perspective to put things in, right? Like
yes.
Not
all debt is bad.
Yeah.
Not all debt is bad. And I don't want people to feel the shame or the guilt about debt. I have credit card debt. I've always had credit card debt. When I got divorced, my ex-husband left me with $55,000 in credit card debt that I had to pay off. And I sat down and I said, okay, let's split this out over the month. over the week. I'm just going to chunk out a little bit at a time. But there's definitely a guilt associated with it, a judgment that I made bad choices. And that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes we are buying shoes we can't afford. Yes, we all do it. It's the American marketing machine telling us it's the sale today and today only. But there's also a piece, I think the numbers in this country show that most credit card debt is actually incurred by healthcare expenses that we simply cannot afford. And so there's all different kinds of debt. And I have debt. And I want people to know that just because I'm an accountant doesn't mean that managing money is any easier for me than it is for you. I work at it every day. Every day I say, do I choose this or do I choose that? I set money aside. I need money set aside for travel. I need money set aside for fun. So I don't like budgeting. Budgeting makes me feel poor. Budgeting makes me feel like life is miserable. And I've tried everything. I've tried the color-coded sticky notes and the envelopes. And I mean, I've tried everything. I cannot budget. It gives me anxiety. So instead, what I've done is I've just created an awareness where my trick or my tip for everybody is to take one day a week, call it your money day. And for an hour once a week, I sit with my money. I log into my bank accounts. I see what's there. I see what I spent the last week, what I'm planning to spend the next week. And then I let the week go. Because what I find is sometimes on a Wednesday, I'll be like, oh, God, I wonder what my credit card bill is up to now. Ugh. And then I say, instead of going down that rabbit hole, Friday's my money day. I'm going to let it go right now. I'll deal with it on Friday. And every Friday, I look at my money, and that helps create an awareness, much like a diet, right? If you get on the scale every day, you make yourself crazy. Get on the scale once a week and look for patterns. Don't look for judgment. Look for patterns. Am I spending more? Are my choices getting better? Or am I continuing to make the same poor choices every week? Then I need to make a change. I don't need a budget to tell me that I've bought too many shoes. And so I'm all about creating an awareness and finding something that works for you, because all the money gurus out there, I've tried it and it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you just said, because I have the same thing, except that my money day is Monday. That is
That's an
today.
interesting day.
Yes, yes. And I love it. Like I also I like making it like a fun experience. So like depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll light a candle or like get like a glass of wine or something, like, and it's like fun. Like we get to like see how much money I have, and yeah, and sometimes how much money is going out, and it's like, oh,
yep.
but
Oh
like,
yeah, there's some Fridays where I'm like, oh, this weekend I really need to rein it in. But that's okay, because that's better than burying my head in the sand. And it's better than walking around with the anxiety every single day, because I look at it on the Friday, you do it on the Monday. And if it's bad news, it's bad news. And then you let it go. And you wake up the next day and you go, okay, based on what I saw yesterday, I'm going to do my darndest to make better choices today. And that really helps me relieve a lot of financial stress.
yeah, in complete agreement. What do you usually tell like your clients when they're having a conversation with you, like about debt? Like, what do you usually so-called recommend to go into debt for, versus like a bed is not such a big decision, but sometimes in business that could sometimes be a little bit more complex.
Usually what I'll say is, of course, there's certain things like medical expenses you just have to, right? If it's your health and keeping a roof over your head. But otherwise, I try not to go into debt for anything that I don't have a vision to pay off, right? So if I'm taking a class on business, or I want to pay for a coach or a consultant, sometimes I don't have the cash for that. But what I'll do is I'll look and I'll go, okay, if I pay $5,000 to be part of this mastermind group today, I'm going to need to put that on a credit card. But I can see that my intention is to make that money back over the next 6 months. So I am 100% focused that if I incur this debt, it's with the mindset that it's not a look and see. It's a, I need to make this money back to pay for it, to cover it. So I try and only do that if I have a pretty sure plan of where the money is coming from to pay it off. The same as, shoes or a trip or whatever it is. If you know that you have a plan of where that cash is coming from, then I would do it. But I don't like to put money on a credit card with hope as a plan, because hope, much as I love a good bit of positive energy, hope is not a good strategy. And so we really need to have a finite strategy for how we're going to pay it off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Wendy. Where can we find you and connect with you before I get to my final question?
Sure. So my website is wendybarlin.com. There's tons of free information and resources on the website, lots of tax worksheets you can download, webinars I've recorded. There's also a link to my books on Amazon. One is called That's Deductible, which is for the small business owner. And the other one is called Never Budget Again, which helps people manage their money, both easy weekend reads. So you're welcome to go to my website. There's also a contact me button there where you can reach out to me. And really my goal is to educate, because I think there's just not enough financial education in this country.
Completely agreed. Awesome. Okay, so for our final question, what is something controversial that you believe in?
Well, I don't like to budget. And I know that gets me in trouble all the time, but I love
Especially as an
credit cards,
accountant.
right? I love credit cards and I don't like to budget. So I know there's a bunch of Dave Ramsey people out there who are probably throwing darts at me right now, but I love credit cards and I don't like to budget. And so we all need to find different ways, because these are part of the practicalities. I mean, like I say, I wouldn't have what I have today if it wasn't for figuring out how to use debt and how to manage my money without a budget.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Wendy. I
You're
really appreciate you
welcome.
coming on here today.